Yeah. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear or not, whether my screen is visible or not? Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Professor.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So in the yesterday session, just I was briefing you about Python software foundation, Python versions, installation and execution modes, right? And developing the first Python application within the editor, right? So opening a notepad file, writing your Python code, save it with .py and submitting. But here we are writing the code at one place and executing at the other place, right? But to write and execute at the same place, we have IDLE, which comes along with Python installation. You can just write execute and write your code and execute the code at the same place. Okay. So where can we see that IDLE, right? Go to the start programs, check where your Python is installed. P Python 3.10, you click. The first thing what we see, IDLE. Click it. Here it opens in interactive mode. If you want to interact with its statement, you can just type any statements and check it. If you want to work in batch mode, save file, new file, write your code here and run your code here. Run module here itself. Writing the code and executing the code here itself, right? Okay, fine. Now, today just I go with the technicals. So just I will be entering into technicals like Python data types. Python data types of variables. Python data types. See, if I talk like every organization use case has got data and every organization use case has got data and operations. Data represented using data types or variables. Okay. Data represented using data types or variables and operations. Operations represented using functions. So any organization has got data and operations, data represented using data types or variables, operations represented using functions, right? Fine. Okay. Okay, now observe. If I take any organization, if I take the example of any organization, right? 1 second. One second. Fine. Okay, everyone, you can just check the chart panel, right? So for that payment details, anything, yesterday somewhere some of them were asking, right? Okay, so that online team, DurgaSoft online team, they have shared these things. Okay. Now see, every organization use case has got data and operations, data represented using data types or variables, operations using functions, right? Okay. Okay. For example, if I take the example of a bank, right? 1 second. If I take the example of a bank. Okay. Bank consists of a bank consists of customers and employees, right? Customers and employees. Customers has got data and operations. Customers has got like data and operations. Data like customer name like Ajay, account number 309870, balance 90,870 points. A customer name, account number, balance, branch, Hyderabad. Okay. So here, this is the data represented using data types or variables. Data types are variables, right? Okay. Operations represented using operations means like deposit operation, transfer operation, withdraw operation. All this represented using functions. So data represented using data types or variables, operations represented using functions. Operations represented using functions, right? Okay. Employees. Similarly for employees also we have got data and operations. Operations. Data like employee ID, employee name, designation, manager. So this data represented using data types or variables. Data types are variables, right? Okay. Operations like calculating tax, calculating net salary, right? Using functions. I'm sorry. Okay. So every organization use case has got a data and operations, data by representing data types or variables, operations by using functions. Data by using data types or variables, operations using functions, right? Okay. Okay, fine. Now observe. If you take any programming language, C or C++ or Java or Python, take any programming language, they represents data. They represents data. Using data types or variables. On this data, they are going to perform some operations. On that data, they perform some operations using functions. Okay. Represent data using data types or variables, operations using functions. If you take if you compare like C or C++ or Java with Python, right? Here, this is Python. Python supports dynamic data types. Python supports dynamic data types, right? Okay. If you take example, right? For example, x equal to 10. If you want to define a variable in other programming, int x equal to 10. In C, C++ or Java, right? You'll say like int x equal to 10, if float y equal to 4.5, something in decimals, string z equal to hello, right? Within the quotes. But in Python, no need to define these data types. Directly we say like x as 10, y as 4.5, z as hello. But here, what kind of variable x is means based on the data type defining, you are saying it is integer type. What kind of variable y is means it is based on that data type defining, you are saying it as a float type. What kind of variable z is based on this data type defining, it is string type. But in Python, what kind of variable x is, what type of variable x is means what value you are assigning to it. Integer value. If you are assigning integer value, integer variable gets created dynamically, right? If you are assigning a float value, float variable created. If you want to know the type of y, data type of y, it returns float type. Why it is float? Because you have assigned a float value. If you're assigning a integer value, then integer variable gets created. If you're assigning a string value, then string variable gets created. So based upon what value you are assigning to x, the type of x is integer. Why it is integer? You are assigning a integer value to it, right? So now I'll just come back, but I'll be defining, see, just I'll be showing you what happens internally whenever you are defining some variables here in Python, right? 1 second. These things are important. So observe what happens internally whenever you define some variables in Python. Defining variables in Python. So now I want the sessions to be interactive. Keep responding. Everyone, please try to respond through voice or through chat panel. Okay, now case one. I'm going to discuss 4 cases for your understanding. Case one. Whenever you say x equal to 10, whenever you say x equal to 10, right? Internally, one object gets created. Internally, one object gets created with value 10 with some address 103070, some address. Means a object gets created, that the object is going to occupy some physical memory location address. The address is given to x. Yes. Okay. So here, generally, see here, x equal to 10. What x is storing here? X equal to 10 means what x stores here. Don't say like x stores 10. X stores this address. Okay, here 3 things what you need to understand is print x. Print x. You can make a note of this also. These cases are important. Defining variables. Case 1. Print x means whenever you say print x, prints the content, prints the content at that address, right? So what is the content? It goes to that address and prints the content at that address. What is that content? 10. Print x means prints the content of x, goes to that address and prints the content at that address. If you want to print the address, right? Print id of x, id function. We have got id function, prints the address of x. One zero three zero seven zero, right? Okay. Print type of x. Type of x means what type it is. Prints the data type of x. prints the data type of x. What type it is? Integer type. You need to understand. Print x means prints the content, that is 10. ID of x means prints the address. Type of x means the data type, that is integer type. Right? Okay. So these things you need to understand. Whenever you define some variable like x as 10, so a variable, a object with value 10 gets created, it is going to have some address. If you want to print the address, ID of x. Type of x, integer. Print x, content 10. Right? This is case 1. Observe this case 2. Case 2 means x value is 10, y value is 20. X is 10, y is 20. How many objects gets created here? Try to answer, everyone. How many objects gets x equal to 10, y equal to 20? How many objects? Two objects, right? Two objects with 10 and 20. 10 has got its address. This address is given to x. 20 has got its address. This address is given to y. Now try to answer. You can just unmute yourself and you can just communicate, right? Print x. What is the x value? Yes, try to answer. Print x. 10. 10, right?
10.
ID of x. The address where
103070.
right? Yes. Type, data type of x. What value was assigned to x?
Integer.
What type? Integer. Right? So now print y.
20.
20. It goes to that address and prints the content at that address, that is 20, right? Yes. Yes. Print ID of y. ID of y. 1040.
104080.
Print type of y, right?
Integer.
Integer type, right? So here, understood, right, everyone? What
Integer.
happens internally? Yes, integer. So what happens internally whenever we create two variables with two different values? Two different objects with two different addresses gets created. Two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created with two different addresses. Okay, fine. Print x, it prints 10. Print y, 20. Print address of x, this address of y is this. Type of x, type of y. Okay, fine. Now observe this. Case 3. Observe this case 3, everyone. X value is 10, y also 10. Now try to answer here. How many object gets created?
2.
2, everyone. So observe carefully. Here only one object gets created. Only one object gets created. 10 103070, some address, the address is given to x. This is fine up to here. X equal to 10, one object gets created, address, the address is given. Before creating object for y, right, it checks whether any object with value 10 is already available in the memory. If available, the same address will be given to y. One more object with value 10, it's not going to get created. Means if x value 10, y value 10, z value 10, do you think like three objects with value 10 gets created? No, only one object and its address is given to x, y, and z. Understood, everyone? So whenever the values are same, x value, y, z, three objects with the same values are not going to get created. So before creating object for y or z, it checks if any object with value 10 is already available, if available, the same address is given to X. For example, if X value is 10, Y is 20, Z is 30. How many objects? X
Three
is 10,
objects.
3
Three.
objects. X is 10, Y is 20. Means what is your observation here? If the values are different, multiple objects gets created. If the values are same, only one object. And the same address will be given
Yes.
to X, Y, Z. Understood, right? So
So I
here,
have a question.
yes, go ahead.
This is,
Mm.
yeah, this is similar to like what we have in Java is like a string literal, right? String literal.
String literal. So no, here I'm just discussing about this object and its address, right?
Okay. So even in the Java also, like when we have the string literal, string x equal to AB some ABC, it will use the same object when you reassign the variable. So it uses the whether it will check in the JVM whether the
Yes.
same content is created or not. Yeah. It will
Okay.
reassign.
Okay. Yes. So here, okay, X, Y, and Z, they are sharing the same content. They are sharing the same content at the address. So if I say print X, if I say like print Y, if I say like print Z, what is the value? 10. The address is also same, right? Address of X, address of Y, address of Z. Same addresses, right? 1030, and type also integer type. Understood, right? So if the values are different, different objects gets created. If values are same, only one object. If the values are same, only one object is getting created, right? Okay.
Sir, I have small doubts, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Here, where it for what we call objects, sir?
Okay. Generally, whenever you define some variable x equal to 10, right? Internally, that is going to be stored in the memory, right? A object with value 10 gets created, it's stored in the memory. In Python, everything is an object. So integer object, float objects, see, everything are classes represented. Okay, everything are object represented by built-in classes. Fine. So whenever you define any value, right, a object gets created internally, it's going to occupy some physical memory location.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, fine.
Vijay?
Yes.
So in real-time projects, what is the best practice? I mean, is it to define the data types is best practice, or without defining the data types we can proceed?
So in Python, there is no concept of defining the data types. Anywhere, while defining variables or defining functions, while return type, function data types, anywhere we are not going to define the data types. So Python can return any value. Specifically, if you are specifying the data type, only that value only we are supposed to provide, or that value only supposed to be returned. But in Python, it can return any value, right?
Okay. Okay.
So here, Python, we see very less coding. All the unnecessary statements or definings are removed. The semicolons, curly braces, or this data type defining, all those are removed. That's why very less code you are going to see. And the two simple syntaxes. So what value if you are assigning, that variable gets created. If you're assigning float value, float variable gets created. If you're assigning integer value, integer variable gets. But in other programming, specifically you need to say int x equal to so and so. Okay. Now observe this case 4. X value is 10, y value is, sorry, x is 10, x is 20. How many object gets created here? X is 10 and x is 20. Yes, 2 objects. First object with value 10, some address, the address is given to x. For x equal to 20, one more object with value 20 gets created. Yes. Now, if I say print x, right, what is the x value it is going to print?
20.
It always prints the latest value, right?
Yeah.
X value was 10, now x value is 20. Prints always the latest value. The address of x means 104080. Okay, that is fine. Print x always prints the latest value. So here, what happens to this previous object? Is it available? Not available.
It's available.
So if it is available, can I print the value of it? So if I say print x for 10 times, it always 10 times it prints 20 only. 10 times if I print x, it will print 20 only. Is there any chance of printing that previous object, that is 10? Can I print the value of the previous object?
No idea, Vijay.
Based on the address ID.
So to make you understand what happens to this object, right? Just there is a small concept, there is a concept, right? I need to discuss. So I'll just go back to this case 3 and just okay. There is a concept called a garbage collector. It's too early to discuss this, but just I'll give overview of it. But later in our when we discuss the concept of garbage collector, I'll brief you with multiple examples. But now I'll just give overview of it to understand what happens to the objects, right? Okay. Garbage collector. Garbage collector just observe, removes. Garbage collector, it removes unused or unreferred objects. Removes unused or unreferred objects from the memory. Observe. Garbage collector removes unused or unreferred objects from the memory. You may ask, what do you mean by unused objects or unreferred objects? Objects whose reference count becomes 0. Whose reference count becomes 0. Those objects we call as unused or unreferred objects. Objects whose reference count becomes 0, then immediately right, these objects gets removed. Immediately this object gets removed from the memory by the garbage collector. Who removes? Garbage collector. When any object reference count becomes 0, then immediately those objects, this object gets removed from the memory by the garbage collector. So you may ask, what do you mean by reference count becoming 0? Reference count becomes 0. What do you mean by reference count? Number of variables pointing to an object. How many variables pointing to this object 10? Try to answer. How many objects pointing to this object 10? X is pointing, Y is pointing, Z is
Three
pointing.
variables.
Three variables. So reference count is 3. Or another way of defining this reference count is number of variables storing address of a object. Number of variables pointing to an object or number of variables storing address of an object. So to make you understand what is this garbage collector, so this is an object with value 10, right? How many variables are pointing? 3. How many variables are storing the address of this object 10? X is storing, Y is storing, Z is also storing, right? So what is the reference count of this object? 3, right? Why 3 means 3 variables are pointing to this object, or 3 variables storing the address of this object. So now that's fine. Now you may ask, how come a object reference count becomes 0? And how come a object is going to get removed? How come a garbage collector removes that object, right? To understand that, right? So slowly x value 10, y value 10, z value 10. Slowly I'll modify the y value to 20, right? If I modify the y value to 20, a new object gets created with value 20 with some address, right? That address is given to y. Means y is pointing to the new object. Y is not pointing to this now. Y is pointing to the new object. Now what is the reference count now for this object 10?
2.
Yes, everyone try to respond. So here, what is that reference count for this object 10? 2.
2.
Only x and z are pointing. Previously 3 were pointing, now y is pointing to the different object 20. Slowly I will modify the z value to 30, right? Yes, slowly if I modify the z value to 30, yes, 1080, some address. That address is given to z. Now observe, z is pointing to the new object. Z is not pointing to this now. Z is not pointing to this. Z is pointing to a new object now. Now what is the reference count of this object 10?
1.
1.
It decreases to 1 because only x is pointing now. Previously y and z were also pointing. Now y and z, they are pointing to the different objects. Now slowly I'll modify the x value also to 50. Means a object with value 50 gets created. That address is given to x. Now x is pointing to the new object. X is not pointing to this. What is the reference count now?
0.
0.
Means reference count became 0. None of the variables are pointing to this object 10. None of the variables are referring this object 10. Previously 3 variables were referring, but now they are referring to a different objects 20, 30, 50. Now this object 10 is unused or unreferred by any variable. So if any object is unused or unreferred, then immediately that object gets removed by the garbage collector. So when any object reference count becomes 0, then immediately that object gets removed from the memory by the garbage collector. So this object 10 got removed, right? Everyone, have you understood this concept?
Yes, sir.
This is just an overview that I am giving, right? Later I discuss in brief about this garbage collector with multiple examples and show you practically. And also these 4 cases, what I'm discussing now, I'm going to show you practically. Fine. Now, understood this everyone? What is garbage collector? Removing
Yes.
unused, unreferred objects. What is
Yes,
reference
sir.
count? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Any queries in this?
No, sir.
Okay. So based on this understanding, based on this observation, I'll go back to this case 4. I was just asking you a query, right? When x is 10, x is 20, what happens to the previous object 10? That was my query, right? Now just for a while, forget about that x equal to 20. Forget about that x equal to 20, right? X equal to 10. What is the reference count of this object?
1.
Oh, yes.
1.
Only
One.
one variable is pointing, right? Reference count is 1. Slowly I modified the x value to 20. Now x is pointing to the new object. Now x is not pointing to this. What is the reference count now?
0.
0. If any object reference count becomes 0, then what happens?
It goes to garbage.
Garbage collector removes that object from the memory, right? Now what happens to this object? Gets removed. Can you print the value of this object 10? No.
No.
Understood? Understood, right? So whenever you say x equal to 20, the previous object gets removed. For example, if I say x equal to 30 here, what happens to this x equal to 20 object?
And x is equal to 20 is removed.
Yeah, it is going to get removed by the garbage collector. So now, okay, understood, right? All these 4 cases, everyone.
That means it moves to garbage, Sagar.
So garbage collector is a background program or background application or a background thread which is going to run in the background, and it removes any object. It removes any object whose reference count becomes 0. Immediately, if any object reference count becomes 0, it removes that object from the memory. That is what the work of garbage collector. It's a background thread or application running in the background and to remove the unused objects from the memory. So
Yeah.
when an object reference count becomes 0 means none of the variables are pointing or none of the variables are storing an address of it. Then it is unused or unreferred. It will be removed from the memory, right?
Okay, thank you.
Sir,
Now-
here memory refers to application memory, sir.
Generally, okay, yes, memory. Okay, generally, for example, if you are storing any variable, it is going to be stored in the memory, right? It's going to
Yes.
occupy some memory space, memory location, right? That is what I'm talking about.
Sir, it's just like a cache memory, right?
Yes, yes,
If any new data is coming into that cache, that the old one is removed.
yes. So, okay. So just I'm going to show you all these 4 cases practically now. Just I will show you all these 4 cases, whatever I discussed practically, right? So whenever we install Python, right? I was just saying, go to the start programs, check where your Python is available here. Python 3.10, click this ideally integrated development environment, right? So this Python shell open in this manner, okay? Just say file, new file. So case one, okay? Defining a variable. This is a comment in Python. In Python, comment starts with as symbol, not executable. It's just for our understanding, right?
Multi-line commenter.
Multi-line comments, you need to start with triple quote and end with triple quote. And you can just write anything within that. Okay, fine. Defining a variable, okay. X equal to 10. Print X value, it prints 10. Print ID of X, where exactly it is stored, that address is going to be written, right? Where exactly it is stored, that address. Type of X. Type of X means the data type of X, integer type, right? Now observe. I created a separate folder for this batch. Yes, Python 9 p.m. Any name dot py extension, right? Okay, any name dot py extension. Run module. Okay, here one second. What is the error here? Yes, type of one bracket is missing. Okay. Run module. Yes, print X 10. The address where exactly it is stored, this is the address location. Type of X, integer type, right? So print X prints the content, ID of X, the address where exactly it is, type of X, the data type of X. Case 2, if you observe, I'll just copy the same code. Say file, new file for one more. Okay. Case 2, observe. Defining two different variables. With the 2 different values. Then 2 different objects gets created. Defining two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created with the two different addresses. Two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created with two different addresses, right? Defining two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created with two different addresses. Right. Okay. Into .py, right? Okay. Okay. Two different variables with two different values, then two different objects with two different addresses, right? Okay, 1 second. This was that case 2. Two different variables with two different values, two different objects with two different addresses, right? Now, x value is 10, y value is 20. Print x, address of x, type of x, and here also print y, address of y and type of y. Print y, address of y, type of y. Now can you please answer the address of x and address of y, is it same or different?
Different.
It should be different, right? Because different values, different objects gets created with different addresses, right? Run module. See, 10, 20 contents are different. The addresses are also different, right? Two different variables with two different values, two different objects gets two different addresses. Okay. Now observe this case 3. File, new file. Case 3. Defining two different variables with same values. Two different variables with same values. Then only one object gets created. Only one object gets created. Then only one object gets created and its address. And its address is returned to both the variables. Defining two different variables with same values, then only one object gets created and its address is returned to both the variables, right? For example, x value is 10, y value also 10. Now, can you please answer? Like, first save it. Without saving, we cannot run the code. We cannot execute the code. Here, if you observe, if I execute this, the address of x and address of y, is it same or different?
Same.
Everyone try to answer.
Same.
Same.
It should be same, right? It must be same. Because the
Same, sir.
contents, yeah, contents are same. The only one object, only one address. So same address or not, right? 10, 10.
10.
Content same, address also same, data type also same.
So,
Please be in mute.
Sir, what if we give one variable with 10 and another variable with 10.0?
Yes, exactly. Good query. Yes. So yes, everyone done with this, right? Address of x, type of x. Okay, address of x and y is going to be the same. 10 and 10.0. Now try to answer, everyone. The address of x and y, will it be same or different?
Different.
Everyone.
It should be different.
Different.
Same.
Different.
Okay, before you answer, right? First try to say the type of y.
Type of file integer.
Float.
Type of y is float type. Type of x is integer. One integer object, one float object. So please, if you have got any background noise, please try to give a response through chart panel. Otherwise, you can go with voice. Okay. I will be just seeing all your outputs, right, in your chat panel. So here address of x and y will be different because here type of y is float object created. Here type of x is integer object created. Integer object, float object, two different objects. So the address will be different.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So different addresses, right? Integer object, float object. Their addresses are also different. Okay. Now case 4. File, new file, right? Case 4. Defining two variables. Defining two variables with same name. Same name and with different values Defining two variables with same name and with different values. Defining two variables with same name and with different values. Then two different objects gets created. And the previous one gets removed. Okay. Two variables with same name and with different values, then two different objects gets created and the previous one gets removed, right? X value is 10 and X value is 20. Print X, address of X, type of X. What is the X value it is going to print? Yes.
20.
20.
Address of X, 20 address. Type of X, integer type. So, into 4.py, right? Okay. Run model. Understood all these 4 cases, right, everyone?
Yes.
Yes,
Any-
understood.
Any queries in this, anyone?
No.
Fine. Okay, fine. Now observe this. Data types. Two types, right? Data types are of two types. Everyone be in mute. Data types, two types. Fundamental data types fundamental data types and collection data types. Fundamental data types means object holding single value. What is that? Object holding single value. X equal to 10 in this manner, right? One X equal 10 means one object with value 10 with some address. The address is given to X, right? Object to holding single value. Object to holding single value, right? Collection data types, object holding group of values. Object to holding group of values. Okay, the name itself saying collection of values, group of values. Fundamental data types, object holding single value, collection data type, object holding group of values. So like group of values means 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So here also one object with multiple values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is going to have some address. Object to holding group of values. Object to holding group of values here. Collection of values. Collection data types, right? So what are the various fundamental data types and what are the various collection data types? Fundamental data types mainly 5 types. Integer, float, Boolean, string, and complex. Integer means like age equal to 25. Float, height 6.2. Boolean means which returns either true or false. So we'll be discussing everything in brief. Okay. String means something sequence of characters. City equal to Hyderabad. Complex means something in x plus iy. But in Python instead of I we use j. X plus j. Okay. So these are the fundamental data types. I'll be discussing this in brief in tomorrow's session. But what are the various
So
collection
J
types?
is after Y na.
Pardon?
J is after Y na in complex data type.
So here example 3 plus 4j. This way. In this way, example x this is that. In this way, right? Represent.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Any query?
Hello, sir. I'm not able to get the notes. I did not receive any notes. I expected that they will send.
Yeah. So notes. Okay. Up to now, the notes is not forwarded. Still, we didn't. We have done with little content only, right? Only the basics of Python. So you'll be getting right. And one thing is notes. I'll be forwarding you every alternate days. So I need to get that mail IDs of yours. Those who are registered means who got enrolled for this course, those mail IDs I need to get. After getting it in a daily basis, I'll be forwarding you, right? Hope you are getting the video links, right?
No, sir.
Yes, sir, we are getting.
Video link, right? Video link
Yes.
in the mail. I think you will be getting a mail in that video link is given, right? In that link, you can see all the videos.
Yes, we got it.
You can just check it in your spam folder or in your, you should have got a mail, right? And in that the payment process also is given clearly. You can just go through and okay, even in the chart panel that online team has okay, just forwarded that payment details. So getting enrolled it, the people will be getting the notes, everything, and the videos, everything. Now first for the 4-5 days, right, it will be kept in that YouTube, that link you will be getting, but later you will be getting to the Google Drives. A Google Drive link will be shared, right? You can just view the videos there, all the videos every day basis, right? Okay, and the notes will be forwarded, right? Okay. Okay, 1 second. Observe here. Recording demo video for okay. Srihari. Okay. So you can just give a call to that online team, right? Srihari, right?
Already I called them and sent an email to them, sir, but I didn't get any response.
Yes, yes. You got any mail?
No, sir.
Everyone, those, see, one thing, the students who are registering, entering this meeting, right? You will be entering some email ID. Compulsory to the email ID, everyone should have got some mail sending that link. So try to give that correct email IDs, everyone. Means even tomorrow, if you want to open that videos, right, that registered email ID only should be working. Tomorrow, if you open that, okay, in the coming days, you'll be getting that Google Drive link, right? Links for opening the videos. It will be open on your registered email IDs only. Okay.
For 6 a.m. batch, sir, I got, sir, but for 9 p.m. batch, I didn't get, sir.
Yes. Fine. Okay. I will let you know. Okay. If anyone has got any problem, any issues, right? Okay. So did you call them? Okay. I'll just intimate, and I'll just let you know, right?
Okay, sir. Tomorrow there will be a
Anyone
separate
if you're
link,
not
right,
got
for
the,
registered users.
yes, for the registered enrolled people separately. Okay, the videos, everything you can see in that link. They'll be giving you the link, right? In that link, you can see the video every day. They'll be uploaded in that. Okay, you can check it. That.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, fine.
Sir, there is a batch on morning also for the same Python.
Yeah, it has started like it was started like almost like 2 weeks ago.
Okay. It is by only you, right?
Yes.
Okay. What
It's
is the timing, sir?
currently it runs at 7 a.m.
7 a.m. 7 to 8.
Yes, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Okay.
Demos were taken at 6 a.m. but that batch timing is 7 a.m. right? Fine.
Yeah, okay. So, till what topics you are covered in that batch, sir? I mean, currently, where are you in that batch?
Just fundamental data types, operators, collections are going on. Lists, tuple sets, lists are going on.
Okay.
Just 2 weeks ago,
So
it was
this
started.
batch will continue 9 p.m. only.
Yeah, this batch will be at 9 p.m. only. There is no change in this. The demos
Can
and
we
the
move little early, sir? This batch? Is there any
9
chance?
to 10. No,
8
9
to
p.m.
9 like that.
Oh. So if anybody, okay, if 9 p.m. No, 9 p.m. only. Why? Because mostly preferred timings. Why? Because most 9 p.m. is the mostly preferred timing by most of those employees and students, right?
Okay.
There is a batch at 7 p.m. going on, right?
Okay.
Fine. So here collection at just 2 minutes I take. Collection data types like list, tuple, set, dictionary. list like squared braces, tuple like normal braces, set like curly braces, dictionary also curly braces, but key and value notation. Key and value notation means, for example, age 25, age will be the key, value will be the 25, right? Name Ajay, name will be the key, Ajay will be the value, right? So like by seeing the braces only, you should identify whether it is list or tuple or set. For example, list of values, tuple of values, set of values. Fine. So I'll be discussing about all these data types.
Frozen set is also there, right? Sir?
Pardon?
Frozen set.
Yeah, it's a frozen set is a separate topic, but it's not like a data type, right?
Sir, bytes and bytes array.
Byte and
Bytes array.
yeah, that internally I'll be discussing those things, right? Mainly these 5 data types, but again, once where we are discussing with the topics, I'll be dealing with those all, right? Mainly like 5 fundamental types mainly used and 4 collection types, right? There are many, there's other things like sub data types, right? I'll be discussing those. Okay. Understood? Like means object holding single value, fundamental. Object holding group of values, collection type. Okay. So fine. I'll be just briefing you about all these fundamentals in the tomorrow session, right? So I'll be stopping here and we'll be continuing tomorrow. And so I was saying, right, the notes you'll be getting once you get everyone gets enrolled and that mail IDs will be forwarded to me. You'll be getting notes from there on from every alternate days, right? Videos you can check now. Later, once you get enrolled, you'll be getting the drive link. You can just see that all that uploaded videos there, right? Fine. Any queries from anyone? Any queries as part of today's session? Hope you understood, right? So just I was saying how data types, defining variables, what happens internally. Next, I showed you practically, right? What happens? Okay, 4 cases. Tomorrow, my discussion will be on data types, mostly like more discussion on string data type, like string indexing, string slicing, string functions, string methods, string special characters. Means a lot of things like, and also like on these collections, I'll be discussing like nearly 10 days on these collections, which are important, right? List properties, list indexing, list slicing, list functions, list methods, list addresses, list modifications, right? For list only, I'll be discussing 3-4 days, right? Tuples, tuple operations, set operations, their methods, their functions, their addresses, dictionaries, all this, right? Fine. Everything in brief. With only on these collections only, I'll be providing like 50 code examples. Okay, fine. So those like if you are going for certification programs, those they'll be testing with the core concepts of Python, right? So mostly like these collections. So we'll be discussing like any other queries, right? Any other queries as part of today's session, right?
Sir, how many days complete this course?
Like it takes like 2.5 to 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, because 100 hours I'm going to take. Okay, like if I get some bigger sessions, I'll be completing in 2.5 months.
Sir, when started offline classes?
Offline, you're talking?
Offline classes.
Offline classes as of now, there is no offline classes, no, only online class. So
when started offline classes?
There is no offline classes, no, only online classes now.
Okay.
So everything I will be typing and showing you everything. I'll be nothing like plus some pre-written code bringing and just discussing this. Fine. Okay. Any other queries? Okay.
Sir, do you have class on weekends?
As of no. Monday to Friday you will be having the sessions. Saturday and Sunday there won't be any sessions. But later if you are running out of days, right? I'll be taking those. I'll be taking not first 1.5 month. There won't be any sessions, but later if I plan some sessions, I'll be just intimating you 1 or 2 days before, right?
Sir, I understand these are demo classes. Like, what if one of my friend would like to join, so that these classes will be started from the first, or will continue. It will be continued.
So see one thing, that videos are there, right? That 3 days videos, previous
Yes,
3
sir.
days videos.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He need to go through those videos, right? Now
Yes, sir.
tomorrow my discussion will be on fundamental data types.
Sir,
So here batch already started 2 days ago, right? Demo
okay.
is first to okay. But you can just to go through that videos of that first 2 or 3 days, and if you need to go tomorrow, I'll be continuing with this, right?
Fine. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fine. Okay, it's not that they won't understand. So everything is simple up to now. What today only just I have entered into this Python data types, right? Fine.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
So I'm stopping here. We'll continue tomorrow, same time with the same link, right? Fine. And tomorrow, okay, you can follow the same link, same time, but mostly like the next Monday or Tuesday, the link might be changing, right? Monday or Tuesday. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm stopping here. We'll continue.
Thank you. Thank you very much.